Hurricane-force winds, sub-zero temperatures, minimal oxygen. It's no wonder Everest has claimed the lives of over 200 people.
Privileged to survive this long, I suppose.
Yet the determination of the human spirit has driven a team of amateur climbers to challenge the highest mountain on Earth. In May of this year, the conditions on Everest looked like the most beautiful in history.
Perfect. Ready to climb.
So why did 7 climbers die?
If you got breathe, you found water.
Still, they push on, finding hope and strength in the wake of tragedy. The leader.
You lose one glove, you lose one hand.
As the man in charge, Russell has guided over 140 climbers to the summit.
It's my job to try and let them go as far as they can without actually killing themselves.
The risk taker.
Biggest, baddest man in the world.
Despite the metal plates and pins that hold his spine, ankle, and skull together, Tim returns for a final showdown.
My mama didn't raise a quitter.
The novice.
Throw up.
Driven by her strong will, Betsy is not about to let inexperience stand in her way.
I don't remember which one does what.
Leave that alone, Betsy.
The chances.
I can't see anything. I mean, you better pray that rope holds you.
The dreamers.
They don't dig deep, ain't gonna make it.
The dangers.
He walks. He maybe listen toes.
It's the ultimate adventure in a place that shows no mercy.
No one said it was gonna be easy.
Months of preparation and dreaming are over.
I can strap things under here, and I can strap a jacket under there.
But has this team of amateur climbers got what it takes
Everest 2007, round 2. That's okay, yeah? Yep, that's what you need.
to take on the highest mountain on the planet?
You got your clothes?
The only thing that's in there is long underwear.
Summit, baby. You bet. Alright, to the top.
From here at Everest Base Camp, their first challenge is a 14-mile, 2-day trek to reach Advanced Base Camp. A freezing way station clinging to the mountain at 21,000 feet. They must prove themselves here before they can take on the technical climbs higher up.
Ain't gonna get any easier. It's uphill from here.
LA journalist Betsy Hulskamp decided to climb Everest after interviewing one of the climbers from last year.
Somehow during that interview, it sort of changed courses of me wanting to interview Tim to me wanting to go on this expedition.
But Betsy hasn't climbed a mountain in 10 years.
An apprentice that I did, I only did 20,000 feet. This is another 10,000 feet higher.
And nothing quite like this.
It's the highest mountain in the world, and we're going there.
On the summit of Everest, the climbers will be at the cruising altitude of a jetliner. At minus 40 degrees, with too little oxygen in the air to sustain life, it's a deadly challenge. Tim Medvitz, a biker from Hollywood, almost died trying to summit Everest last year.
It's my second time coming up, so came close last year. This climber died the night I went up there. It's a good reminder that one small mistake, it's done.
Tim failed to reach the summit. Now, he's back to prove he can do it.
Hopefully the outcome of this one will be standing on top of the world.
But the first challenge of reaching Advanced Base Camp, or ABC, is especially difficult for the big biker.
From base camp to ABC, it's just really puts a beating on my foot, my ankle, my heel, my knee.
After a near-fatal bike crash, Tim's body's held together by metal pins.
It's all boulders and rocks, and it just throws my foot to the left and to the right, and I don't have any lateral motion. This 14 miles just really kills me.
A truckload of determination has gotten them this far. But only 1 in 3 climbers will make the summit. They've signed up with expedition leader Russell Brice.
Nice stroke.
Russell's a man of few words.
We don't know the psychology of these people, how they're going to react under stress. Of course it's not safe, and of course it's dangerous.
A 20-year Everest veteran, Russell's taken 166 climbers to the top. He decides who's fit for the summit. At any point, he can kick any climber off the expedition.
Well, it's my challenge and my job to try and let them go as far as they can without actually killing themselves.
Each step they take, the air gets thinner.
You're so focused on just walking.
Altitude sickness is a constant danger.
The amount of oxygen that we inhale with each inhalation is less than it is at sea level. Essentially, we're getting less oxygen with each breath. If someone has a headache, they're nauseated, they're vomiting, then we need to send them down to the altitude at which they will aspire.
Nearing advanced base camp, Betsy is just 1/6 of the way to the summit.
These poor things. I hope that I'm a good enough person in this lifetime to never come back as a yak, because it looks like...
Hello.
After 2 days of tough trekking, Tim has made it to advanced base camp.
How are you?
Malay samsi cha. Tapalay.
Iklong sanzi.
This is Emerald.
Hamloy.
It's a nice hat. I'll make sure my tent's next to the toilet. And the kitchen.
Head cook Tashi hasn't forgotten his nickname.
Baklago! I had to come up to 6,400 meters to get the best potatoes and eggs in town. Tashi, you need bigger chairs. Yeah. Sherpas don't know how to make grilled cheese sandwich. That's an American thing. But his fried potatoes and onions with a fried egg on top, the best.
For 3 months a year, this is the world's highest village. With kitchens, communications, and all the supplies needed for the expedition.
ABC, one step at a time. Still feeling okay. Here we go. Finding my tent. My home away from home.
Is it here?
Okay.
We're going into the wrong tent.
British team member Rod Baber decided to climb Everest to impress his friends at the local bar.
How's it feel to be finally here?
Now he's struggling with the extreme altitude.
It's got a sledgehammer banging top of my head. Bleeding nose all last night as well, but just a boom.
Home for the next 2 weeks, the climbers will suffer headaches, bleeding noses, diarrhea, and nausea as they struggle to adjust to half the oxygen they're used to.
They look a little bit shattered, don't they?
Hey, I beat you up here this year.
Expedition leader Russell turns his attention to his climbing Sherpas. Already high on the mountain, they are breaking trail and setting the route the climbers will follow. It's the Sherpa's job to fix 3 miles of safety ropes, all the way to the summit. Every 100 yards, the rope must be tied to the mountain. It's the first and most dangerous climb of the season. At Advanced Base Camp, Russell watches their back, keeping a close eye on the treacherous weather patterns.
It's vicious here. It's terrible. Yeah, it's tense time. We're wondering whether everything's in the right place, everything's going to happen correctly. This is not a place that you can making a mistake with the decisions too many times.
After adjusting to the high altitude, the climbers face their next big challenge, proving they can climb on ice.
Big boss wants to see everybody with their equipment on, which is a good thing, because sure we got some experienced people with us this year.
Leave that alone, Betsy.
It's not working for me.
On Everest, the climbing team are being tested on a 30-foot ice wall. They must prove they've got the skill and technique to take on the tough climbers higher up.
Stand up.
Or Russell will kick them off the summit team.
The first thing you need to move is that. So you're still clipped in, then you can release this and move that one again.
At extreme altitude, the brain is slowed by the lack of oxygen. Using their climbing equipment must be second nature.
On the mountain there's speed.
Today's practice climb is a mere 30 feet of vertical ice.
Get it on, Kim.
But standing between the climbers and the summit of their dreams is 1,000 feet of ice to the North Col. And if they survive that, at 28,300 feet, the notorious cliffs of the second step. Strength, endurance, and good technique with ice climbing gear and ropes is essential. But Betsy's forgotten how to use her equipment.
A lot of everybody else goes straight up that ice cube and you go, okay, I can do that. I can do that. It's not a problem.
Leave that alone, Betsy.
It's the guide's job to make sure everyone on Russell's team knows exactly what they're doing.
Go the other rope, please, Betsy. That's it. Come on.
Okay, Betsy, stop right there. Take your left hand. Take it off the rope so I can see that you're not hanging on with it, okay?
Keep leaning back.
Keep your other hand on the rope and balance. That's fine. Now come down. Block your feet.
Keep your feet there, lean back. Keep leaning back.
I'm leaning back.
Keep your feet flat. You don't need to be tiptoeing. That's it.
Trust me, I can do it. I know I can do it. I have more faith and confidence in myself than 100 men. I really do.
Hold your left hand. You wait this much on the mountain, you won't summit.
I have as good of a chance as anybody. I might be a little bit slower, but, you know, here it is. I'm giving it my best shot.
On Everest, Betsy's best shot may not be good enough.
You got a few minutes, Betsy? I was a little bit surprised how little mountaineering you have, because you sort of told me that you had more mountaineering experience. It's not easy for us to, inside Mount Everest, to teach you how to climb. I expect people to be able to climb by themselves, and you clearly don't have that ability. I'll give you one day's instruction on how to use crampons, and then we're going to see how you perform. Learning to climb on Mount Everest is not the right place to be. You know, so let's hope you progress and learn quickly. Okay? Cheers.
I do feel like, you know, I'm a really fast learner, and I understand why people think this is the wrong place to learn. I do understand that. I certainly don't want to put other people at risk, so that's the part that, you know, I don't want anybody to feel like I'm endangering them or myself. I don't want to get hurt.
Boom. Get it on.
Big Tim Medvitz has plenty of strength.
Yeah.
But the guides are concerned about his technique.
You'll kill yourself if you're pulling yourself up on it, okay?
Good, I understand that, but because of my foot, my back, and my knee, I actually use my Jumar and the fixed line to balance a little bit when I get onto some really narrow traverses up in the
Tim,
mountain.
it's a safety line. It's not a holding line.
You know, I'm gonna borrow my bike for a couple days.
Tim's a likable guy, but he's a bit full of himself, and he's a big man, so big ego. He's been 90% of the way. Last year, if he had left on time, I suspect that he would have reached the summit, along with everyone else.
Tim knows more than most how dangerous Everest can be. Last year, he fought his way to within yards of the summit, but climbing too slowly and running low on oxygen, Russell ordered him to turn around.
Please, turn around now. Stop arguing with me. Turn around now and use this valuable time to get back down safely. People sign a contract with me. They agree that if I tell them by radio to turn around, that they agree to do it.
Just 400 feet from the summit of his dreams, Tim did not agree.
Hey, Russell, it's Tim. How much time do I have left on oxygen?
You're standing right beside a dead body for a man who didn't turn around.
Please, turn around and come back.
Suffering from summit fever, Tim refused to turn around.
I got plenty of oxygen to get me up and back.
You can't climb a mountain on your hands and knees. Now turn around.
I got plenty of leg in me, man.
I said no. I told you a long time ago. I want you to come down now.
You can't make a summit. So, better turn around. Right up.
Okay, Tim. I'm going to take my Sherpas home. You can be by yourself.
Eventually, 300 feet from the summit, Tim turned around. This year, he's promised Russell he'll obey orders.
Yeah, I let him back and hope that he's learned something from last year. But I'm not sure he has, actually.
Round two.
25,000 feet up, the expedition Sherpas are forging the new route the climbers will follow to the summit. Their ability and skills at high altitude are unsurpassed. Each of these guys has graduated from kitchen boy to porter to climbing Sherpa, and roping the mountain is the toughest task they take on.
The ropes have been left there from one year to another. They're beaten around by the wind and bashed against the rocks. We don't know what sort of strength it has the following year. We're trying to chop away the old rope and change the tapes to the pitons and so on. Anyone that's climbing at this altitude and working at this altitude is in danger, and I'm very, very worried these days that the Sherpas are there.
Russell has calculated if the weather holds, the Sherpas could be on their way to the earliest summit on record. Four vertical miles above sea level, the team hang in suspense as their bodies adjust to the thin air. They are forcing their hearts and lungs to cope with just half the oxygen they're used to. If all goes well, their bodies will produce extra red blood cells to absorb more oxygen per breath. But before they can climb higher, they must get past expedition doctor Monica Perez.
Our ABC is at 6,400 meters. It's a harsh environment.
A specialist in high-altitude medicine, she knows the dangers of going further without acclimating properly.
You'd initially feel short of breath, and then your brain would start to swell, your lungs would probably start to fill with fluid, you'd lose consciousness and you'd die. Have you got any past medical history?
LA journalist Betsy is also a fitness instructor and black belt in
You
karate.
don't take any regular medication. So yours is 115 over 85, which is good. And yeah, you might be a wee bit lower at sea level because you're quite fit and you're slim and stuff, but that's fine. It's great. Okay.
I thought it was going to be a flunky, you know?
No, you're doing really well, darling. Good stuff.
Danish triathlete Mogens Jensen is a fitness obsessive.
I'm not weighing myself, but I can tell them that I weigh 74 kilos.
When did you last weigh yourself?
That was 12 years ago.
Why don't you want to weigh yourself?
I never do it because it's too relative. I always use the mirror.
But Mons suffers from exercise-induced asthma. Dr. Monica is concerned. He's already failed to summit 3 times.
How have you felt your asthma on the mountain? If it's cold, does it work?
I don't know, no.
Have you ever been admitted to hospital with your asthma? Maybe in intensive care unit. And how bad is your asthma when you're at home?
When I take my medicine, that's,
What do you take?
I take Serotype.
You don't use a steroid?
No.
Because you've been here before and you've done
Yeah.
this before, I'm just trying to get a feel for whether or not you think that your
Sure.
asthma plays a part in your performance.
Not only does he want to prove an asthmatic can climb Everest, Mons wants to do it without bottled oxygen.
You're planning on summiting without oxygen?
Yes.
Okay.
Our body needs oxygen to survive. If there's not enough oxygen, cells die. We die.
And you've climbed 8,000 just before, haven't you?
Yeah, I've been to just under 8.5 here without others.
Trying to summit last year, Mons pushed himself to the limit.
1 hour out of camp, bang! I'm hit by what felt like lightning, you know. From one minute being strong, the other minute I was fearing for my life, you know, almost fainting, feeling ataxic, vomiting, and having blurry vision.
Mons managed to climb down and reach life-saving oxygen.
And then the next minute, it's like, I'm gonna die here. I was so scared, yeah.
But before he left the mountain last year, he made a vow.
I am strong enough to do it without oxygen. I know that mentally and physically, for sure.
People can do it. You know, people have done it. And I respect it immensely. But it's dangerous. It's absolutely crazy. You're much more likely to die.
Good stuff.
Having aced his medical, he has one more chance at his crazy dream. Like Mons, Big Tim's body could hold him back. And he's no lightweight.
You're gonna break my scales, aren't you?
120 kilos.
Yeah.
Can't be right.
Yeah, you can.
120 kilos.
You've got much more muscle than you had last year. Yeah. Muscle weighs a hell of a lot more than fat.
I'm just gonna go for the record, biggest guy in Summit Everest.
He's got more bulk to move up that mountain. That's a hell of a lot of bulk. So he's probably not a very efficient machine at high altitude. And at high altitude, efficiency is a big thing. If you look at the local high altitude people, Sherpas or Tibetans, they're small, they're wiry, they don't weigh a lot.
On Everest, only the fittest can survive. Born and bred at extreme altitude, the Sherpas have larger hearts and lungs to absorb more oxygen per breath. Thicker blood and wider arteries transports the oxygen to their muscles and brains. They are designed for high altitude.
They can breathe. They are.
At 26,000 feet, the Sherpas are blazing the trail to the summit. First on the mountain, it's a deadly job. But in just 4 months, they can make more than the average Nepali earns in a lifetime.
Many people, but the police they put all rope.
And then around.
Around.
But up high first.
Yeah.
The top Sherpas are earning good money. Someone like Pooba is probably earning up to $18,000.
If Russell's head Sherpa, Herba, makes it to the top this time, it will be his 10th summit. The expedition Sherpas are on target for the earliest ever summit of Everest. Passing 26,000 feet, they're entering what's known as the death zone. Up here, the air has so little oxygen, the body burns its own muscle to survive, and the brain starts to crash. At the summit, they face temperatures of minus 40 degrees, freezing exposed flesh in less than a minute. If they use up their bottled oxygen too soon, they may not make it down alive.
How many of you at 8-4? seems like a good day, although they're in the shade, they're still warm. So we're having a good chance to try to get to the summit.
The Sherpas are at the cruising altitude of a jetliner, and they're awaiting the order to push for the summit. One and a half vertical miles below, life is very different.
Oh my God! My head is so cold. It's like frozen on the tip of every end of my hair.
The climbers have been ordered to rest, while their bodies get used to the extreme altitude.
You're spending the same amount of calories just sitting here as you would down home spinning around all day.
Suck it up, you're on Mount Everest, boys.
They must eat as much as they can.
We use the potato, 1,500 kilo. This is for like exhibition eggs, 7,000 eggs. Yak meat we brought from Lhasa, 1,500 kilo. Milk powder, 150 kilo. Fresh pineapple, fresh tomato. And this is the rice, 1,500 kilo.
Up here, frozen food comes out of the ground.
Okay, here, chicken, we put in like a freeze inside of a ground. This is still cold, you see. Some people is more hungry than other groups. Some people's altitude, so not much.
Right, not at all, a little noodle.
Good food is crucial to the success of the climb.
I learned over the years, a lot of the teams that sitting around and not eating very well, they go off and they expend a huge amount of energy and then they can't get down and they die.
It's vital the climbers load their bodies with energy. On summit day, they'll burn 15,000 calories. Even resting in camp, they'll lose up to 30 pounds in weight.
It's a function of not eating because you don't feel like it, not digesting what you do eat, and ultimately burning up your own stores to keep functioning.
1.5 miles above advanced base camp, the expedition Sherpas are just yards from the summit and racing bad weather.
What is it? 5 minutes from the summit.
5 minutes actually on the summit ridge now?
It must be.
Russell can only hope his weather predictions are right.
Well, you just can't compete with the Sherps, especially not ours.
And the ship's on oxygen too, so that's like giving a Formula 1 car jet fuel.
Yeah.
On the final ridge, the Sherpas are out of view from advanced base camp. The team wait with bated breath for news of the season's first summit.
The toughest SOBs on the planet.
These are the real heroes. They summited on the 30th last year, so it's a matter of minutes and hours. And I actually think they may have summited a bit earlier today.
Purba and the Sherpas have summited their earliest for this second season running. The celebration is brief, and with their work done, they must get down out of the death zone fast.
And I'll bet you they'll be down at ABC tonight with a big smile on their faces.
But Russell knows Purba and the Sherpa team are far from safety yet. Exhausted and breathing minimal levels of oxygen, 80% of fatalities happen on descent. Day 19 on Everest. Russell's advanced team of Sherpas have summited in good time and good weather. At Advanced Base Camp, all eyes are on the summit ridge nearly 9,000 feet above them. Purba and the Sherpas must get down out of the death zone and before nightfall.
Here they come, man. Yeah, buddy. Yeah, you look at this.
Yeah. Our Sherpas
are coming down right now.
Working on minimal levels of oxygen and exhausted from the climb, it's a long and deadly descent. 80% of fatalities happen on the way down.
And at quite a rate of knots, really. They're not messing around.
They're running.
The Sherpas are descending fast, but Moans has spotted 2 more climbers heading for the summit.
I reckon they're on the ridge below too, huh?
It's actually two climbers, it's not the Sherpas.
Moving real slow.
This late in the day, the 2 mystery climbers have no chance of making it to the summit and back to camp before dark.
Just wondering if they got any support.
It's getting a bit late. We're there at the bottom of the snow slope at the summit pyramid, which means at the pace they're walking at, they have at least, I would imagine, 2 hours to the summit. And then they're halfway.
From the top down to the highest camp can take up to 8 hours.
No helicopter's gonna come for them. There's no elevator built in. So they're gonna have to go down by themselves, and they may have 2.5 hours of daylight to go down. So for sure they'll be going down in the dark.
Very few people have survived a night out in the death zone. The 2 climbers have no support team, but they had revealed their daring plan to other climbers at Advanced Base Camp.
Well, this is Maksut. I think he's 30 or 31. And this here is Vasily.
The 2 of them have climbed together for many years, so they know each other well. They're bright guys. Max has got 2 degrees. He's a lawyer and he's a veterinary. Vasily's he's a professional sportsman. They climb every single week back home. They do at least a 5,000 meter peak every weekend.
I would say they were experts.
You said they're wearing red?
Yeah, they're
bags.
They're wearing orange packs, red jackets, red fox.
The 2 young climbers are from Kazakhstan, and they're slow because, like Moans, they're trying to climb the mountain without bottled oxygen.
We are on the 30th of April, and these guys are 2 hours from the summit without O's.
No one expected anyone but the Sherpas to attempt the summit in the cold early days of the season, especially without oxygen.
Probably gonna be in a little bit of a surprise when they come down the snow slope and see them coming up that fresh rope they just fixed about 2 hours ago.
Yeah.
Those 2 Kazakhstan guys must have been just nipping on their butts.
Yeah.
As they pass the Sherpas, the Kazakhs show no sign of giving up.
There's a bit of a pat on the back or a handshake as they pass each other. We can see 3 Sherpas coming down, and there's these 2 Kazakhstan guys still going up the snow slope. Clouds is rolling in.
The Sherpas know it's time to get off the mountain. The weather is closing in, but the Kazakhs are still climbing.
The pressure's dropped 15 points in the last hour, which means snow's coming.
Coming in this direction, it's thick and heavy, yeah?
3 minutes ago, we could see the summit pyramid. It's gone. It's just that quick.
There's no doubt there's going to be a lot of pain this afternoon.
After passing Russell's Sherpa team, they are now completely alone on the mountain, with no oxygen, no support, and running out of time.
When you're not going to have it installed without O's, you go right to what's humanly possible. I know that every breath and every step is a pure agony. They have about 33-35% oxygen to their brains, so they're stretched to the limit now, for sure, maybe even beyond the limit.
They are beyond reach and way beyond the limit. When the sun falls on Everest, so does the mercury. Nighttime in the death zone sees temperatures plummet. This early in the season, it can hit 40 below. At Advanced Base Camp, the team wait for the Sherpa's return.
Congratulations.
These guys summited at 2 this afternoon, having worked all day fixing ropes at that altitude.
Can't believe I saw him on the telescope this afternoon and down here for dinner tonight. It's just truly, truly, truly amazing.
Inspiration. This is just, you can't even fathom what these boys have just done. And look at them. They're not even, crawling around. They just look like they just had a walk in the park.
My hero.
That's the difference between them and us. Incredible strength, stoic.
Amazing.
For lead Sherpa Purba, this is his 10th successful summit. But even he almost didn't make it this time.
Almost turn around. Yeah? Yes. Too cold.
Purba last saw the young Kazakh climbers just below the summit.
Kazakhstan member summit. Yeah. Summit.
Very late, huh? Very late in
Where now?
No.
Oxygen channel.
For the Sherpas, it's finally time for some R&R.
It is good to see them back and see them in good spirits.
I hang out with some tough guys, but these guys are tops, absolutely. No matter where you are in the world, everybody celebrates with a little bit of whiskey. Whiskey and chicken is a good celebration.
In the old days, I used to work with them, do the running around and carrying loads and things like that. And now, of course, what they call Budgie. Budgie is the old man. So Budgie sits down here and talks about it. Yeah, it's okay. But no, I'd love to still be up on the mountain with these guys because it's a great spirit to be climbing with them, working with them, being in their rhythm. It's a fantastic experience to do that, but I'm much, much too old for that.
Thank you. Toughest guys on the planet.
Summit and safe return.
Summit and safe return. All right. Hopefully we can stand on the summit. I'll go up together, my friend.
Yeah.
Well, it's great that we just got our Sherpas back in camp and they're all safe and sound, but I keep thinking of the 2 Kazakh climbers who the last time we saw them was 4:48 in the afternoon and they were at the 3rd step. Yeah, 3rd step?
Last seen on the 3rd step,
Oh, wow.
they were still higher than any other mountain on Earth, with just 1 hour of daylight left.
They were pushing it very late. You know, they had this one shot to do it. They weren't going to go back.
I asked Purba about them, and they passed them. They don't know where they're at. So it's a big question mark. I mean, Purba and the boys don't know where they're at. How can we know? So definitely got my concerns about them. I mean, it's cold down here. I mean, we're real cold.
At 3 a.m., the Kazakhs call Mayday from high on the mountain. A Sherpa rescue team are scrambled to begin the ascent to 28,000 feet. Normally, a 3-day climb. But the Kazakhs may have only hours before the onset of frostbite and acute mountain sickness. Next time on Everest, the climbers face Russell's first test.
Each step, you feel like you're going to die.
Make Camp 1 in 5 hours or get kicked off the team.
We're tired.
Betsy's dream hangs by a thread.
She's been lying in the snow for the last 10, 15 minutes.
And the Kazakh climbers are still missing.
These guys were playing Russian roulette.